Today on Asia Live, we're heading to Singapore, where we meet our regional correspondent, Carrie Noten. Hi there, Carrie. Thanks for being with us. Now, first, you're going to tell us about a curious court ruling over a religious issue in Malaysia.
Well, Catherine, we've already talked about the issue in this show. Malaysia Bahasa is a language derivative from Arabic, and that's why a weekly Catholic, the Herald, used the word Allah in some of its articles to refer to their monotheistic God. It's actually a common usage for 1.5 million Malaysian Catholics for the last century there. But for the last 4 years, Catholics and Muslims of Malaysia have engaged a semantic battle, which has turned since then into a political battle. And yesterday, finally, the appeals court said the term Allah must be exclusive to Islam or it could cause public disorder. So the Herald editor said he accepted the verdict, of course, but would go to the Federal Court of Appeal now.
Controversial issue indeed. Now then, top officials from here in Europe have been over there in Singapore hoping to set up valuable trade deals. How have they been getting on?
Well, they've signed 2 agreements, one free trade agreement and one cooperation agreement yesterday. The previous agreements between Singapore and European countries were rather old. They were not covering new industries, for example. The European Union and Singapore have finalized the details of one of the world's most comprehensive free trade agreements. It was a long negotiation. The European Union is already Singapore's second commercial partner, Singapore's first investor, and actually trade between the 2 zones already represents 62 million euro. With these agreements, it will rise even more. But more importantly for the EU, it is actually a stepping stone towards a wider deal with booming economies in Southeast Asia.
And elsewhere in the region, in Bali, tourism, it's maybe valuable to the economy in terms of bringing in foreign income, but it's also endangering the livelihoods of some farmers. Tell us why.
Well, Catherine, we can say that tourism has overdeveloped recently in Bali up to a point that it actually endangers rice fields. The problem is now that tourism spreads to every corner of the island, to the paddy fields themselves, and that destroys subaks. Subaks is the name for the irrigation canals, and by extension is the name also of the organization of Balinese society around water, created, as you said, 1,000 years ago. I let you watch this report produced with Mathieu Horstmann.
Bali's paddy fields are victims of their own success. 10 years ago, mass tourism was confined to the island's southern beaches, but now it's spreading inland. 2.5 million visitors a year come to see the rice plantations, which has led to construction projects. With the hotels and houses being built, 1,000 hectares of paddy fields are being lost every year.
I want to live here because I like this place. It's a very quiet place, a very cheap price for home.
One man, Suka, built this guest house on his land to subsidise his meagre income from farming. But he inadvertently endangered what are known as subaks, irrigation canals for the paddy fields, and the name of the farmers' cooperative that manages local resources.
In the capital, Denpasar, the land has disappeared because of tourism. The Subak cooperative still exists. Temples still stand. But they serve no purpose now because the land is gone. And I'm afraid that could happen here too.
Mada Paras is the man who makes sure that the water supply is shared equally, especially when there's not much to be had.
If some farmers really lack water, then they can borrow it from the other side. You just need to put this here, and the hole is plugged. So you get the water from that other side. If you borrow it, it's not a problem. If you steal it, there are sanctions.
The tradition of the subaks goes back to the 10th century and the Hindu philosophy of Tri Hita Karana, God, man and nature. In the middle of a subak irrigation canal is a water temple, where in the old days a priest would divide up the water. It's hoped that making the paddy fields UNESCO World Heritage sites will limit the damage being caused by tourism. There's even talk of asking to protect Bali's entire water supply.
It's no longer about the government having the power, like this water needs to be sold because we need revenue. But now the farmers can sit together and say, like, because we're protected and we need to preserve our culture, our land, and our rice fields, so we need to have water.
Unusually, it wasn't the authorities, but the Balinese people who were placed in charge of managing the World Heritage Site when it was designated as such a few weeks ago.
The idea in Bali is that the World Heritage will be managed by the people. And the reason for that is the Balinese have an idea called pangampon. It means the people's relationship to the land. They've created this beautiful landscape, so who other than the Balinese people in these communities should manage it? It has to be them.
Funds for maintaining the site are still proving hard to raise. In the meantime, the Balinese people are praying that the paddy fields don't dry up or fall victim even further to the tourist industry.
Well, thanks very much for that report. Carrie Naughton reporting there for us from Singapore. And that does conclude today's Asia Live. That's it from me here in the newsroom on Live from Paris for now. But do stay with us. My colleague Stuart Norvell will be with you at the top of the hour. Plenty more news and analysis for you.